Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to Be Determined. Today we have a major update from the developers themselves, talking about the forging update and some other crazy things that they've got coming. But if you guys enjoy it, please make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and we're going to jump straight into it. So this first paragraph is basically introductions. We're not really going to talk about that too much, skim over it. But basically the goal with this blog is to gather all the info that they can get about the current big meme, which is of course, where is foraging, which was announced in 2021. Been a long time now. They've got a little explaining to do, but right off the bat, we have this beautiful picture of what's gonna be part of the foraging island when it comes out. And as you can see, it's like got some mangrove trees and a pretty cool biome look to it. There you can see the whole picture. There is a little bit of red up here in the top left, so we can kind of see that there's what I'm guessing is like a fiery type of biome, and then up here there's some snow, so probably like a snowy version. But it looks like this island is going to have a ton of differences all around it. Yeah, let's just start off by dissecting this picture a little bit. As you can see down here in the main section, they've got some pretty cool things, which we will get into how they're doing this later on. But if you look at these torches, this is not how torches look in vanilla Minecraft, so they are somehow adding in their own custom torches. And of course, we got the new lantern blocks and a ton of other new blocks, including, like I said earlier, the mangroves. And here in the top left, we can see the new red trees that they're trying to build here, which does look like it's the crimson trees from inside the nether. Got an acacia type tree right here with some purple in the background and a little bit of yellow down here at the bottom. So again, I'm guessing this is going to be like a desert type area where we'll be chopping down some crimson style trees, and it's probably a lot bigger than we can see here. And then of course up at the top there is the snow section, which looks like it's going to be a pretty tall mountain. It's got a little bit of ruins right here. This might be a little gateway inside of a little cave on the left side here. Could be pretty epic. And then here on the right you can see there are different fruits that are in this tree, which is pretty awesome. Not sure what this is going to have to do with the update, but maybe we use these as loot, or maybe they drop some kind of XP or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. But you can get a lot out of these pictures. They're using the mud bricks, I believe is what this is, and a lot of the mud and dirt from the newer updates. But we can get a lot out of this picture. Let's go ahead and go back to the dev blog. The goal right from the start has always been to give players a solid update for foraging that equals the mining update in the Dwarven Mines and the Crystal Hollows. Obviously, mining and foraging are different play styles, and the vibes and locals surrounding it are always meant to be completely different. Can't just put players in a tree cave. Makes sense, but they quickly realized that the newer versions of Minecraft would be a lot better to build these things in, especially with like the crimson trees and cool stuff like that. Custom biomes, new textures and blocks, and all sorts of props for vegetation. Foraging map could look absolutely amazing, and as you can see here, it really does. We're only seeing a fraction of it, and it looks super sick. But on top of that, they started thinking about the future of Minecraft, essentially how Hypixel as a server, the top server no less, has been stuck in the past for way too long. What if they had latest version maps? They had latest version gameplay items and creatures. Think about Elytra, think about polar bears, custom resource packs, unique menus, unique models, and unique bosses. So this unique models, they're going to talk about a lot more here in a little bit. This is very, very exciting stuff, and I'm super hyped for it. But the point is, with newer versions, their imagination knew no bounds. Since then, they've been working on a number of projects that boast the latest version features, although not all of them will make it to the public. But how has it been years since they started and they have nothing to show for it? That is what they're going to talk about in the next little bit. Basically, I'm going to kind of take all of this that they talk about here into a TLDR for you guys. They originally were using Spigot as one of their coding mechanisms, but back in 2014 they made their own version, which is Hygot, which is kind of a hybrid custom version that they made specifically for Hypixel. This basically is kind of what allows them to use the different versions of Minecraft and have them all play on the same world. You know, like I can be in 1.9 playing Skyblock, and somebody else in the same lobby can be in 1.20 and still be able to right click with an AOTE and teleport around. But since they were still playing to the 1.8.9 players like myself, newer features like particles, entities, blocks, and shields often went unused since older clients don't support them. So they had to decide whether to display alternatives or just completely get rid of features. Sneaking, for example, changes the player height in 1.14, but in 1.8.9 it does not. So in 1.14 you can shift and sneak underneath a slab, but in 1.8.9 you're still the same height even when you're shifting. They still integrated a lot of QOL improvements for newer versions, like glow effects for 1.8.9 plus, as well as colored boss bars, and then colored beds and bed wars, as well as scoreboard numbers and server links for 1.20 plus. And at first they were comfortable, but they really wanted to upgrade HiGOT for the latest version's features. They kept the work low and optimized their resources and allowed players on latest versions to join the server, but didn't teach HiGOT about all the cool new things Minecraft released. So basically they just chose to stay in 1.8.9 because it's a lot of work to add in all this other stuff. In the background, Spigot continued to grow, and if they took Spigot today, the original coding, and applied it to Hypixel, it just wouldn't work. It would require rewriting basically all of the game. So instead of swapping back to Spigot, which is already updated, they're going to update HiGOT. So they don't have to go back and like recode all of the other games and things like that. They have to keep working with HiGOT and recode it to work with these games on newer versions if they wanted to play in newer versions, versus going back to Spigot and just recoding all of the games. It's a lot easier to update HiGOT than it is to rewrite every single game that they already have, but it's still a lot of work. And in 30,000 lines of code spread over 800 commits and over 500 different files, they have managed to include new attributes, new potion effects, new paintings, updated player ticking and movement handling, properly implemented no-clip spectator mode, rework entity definitions to better scale with new versions, while enabling static entity referencing to lock entities to versions. A lot of nerd stuff. I don't know what's going on here. But it's let them do a lot of cool stuff, including custom model data, which is what we saw earlier with those torches. We're going to talk about that more later. Also, armor trims and the ability to hide the tooltip on different items, as well as a lot of refactoring things and scoreboard formatting. The following things are works in progress that contain over 70,000 lines of code, spread over 900 commits, and over 400 files. So it's twice as many lines of code as everything they've already done. So it's going to take a while, but it's going to allow them new particles, more new paintings, offhand support, improvements to the lighting, new boat mechanics, support for updated movement mechanics like crawling, swimming, and elytra, which is a really big deal. Very excited about this. It'll allow them to make custom biomes and custom models and animations, which they are going to show something here at the end of this developer blog that we are going to kind of freak out about a little bit. I'm already freaking out a little, but it also allows them to do RGB text colors, support for blocks up to 1.20.5, and support for entities up to 1.20.5. And they're probably going to start adding entities and blocks of newer versions as they're released as needed. They will be able to support for new entity attributes, such as being able to control the size of entities, including the player, a world converter that would take the latest version format worlds and part them to the 1.7 format, and support for natively loading worlds from the latest version format to supersede the world converter for better and quicker support. So basically, it's going to be super cool. They're going to be able to make whatever they want. If you guys have seen Windcraft, they have a ton of custom bosses with their own custom animations. That's this part right here. They'll be able to make custom bosses. They'll be able to make custom items in your inventory, do a ton of cool things with resource packs, but they'll explain a little more here. There's a few popular latest version servers out there that can already prove that we can do such things, Windcraft for example, such as custom menus, custom mobs, biomes, unique items, and functionality. There's just so much. A lot of the development on Hypixel for games has been waiting for these changes to be completed. Foraging would be the ones that we're the most familiar with, but let's take a look at some of the other ones. They're not going to go too in depth on the leaks, but the leaks that we do get are insane. Before they leak anything, he just needs to mention something important. They're not rewriting the entirety of Skyblock, so they are not completely remaking the game. Higgit is Hypixel's server software, not the games themselves. None of the games are getting any rewriting, because that would be a ton of work and would probably cause dupes, as it always does. The improvements come as additions, so we'll get new things in Skyblock, for example, foraging update, and they'll update some older things like menus and possibly custom resource packs, which would be really cool. The functionality of the menus aren't being changed or rewritten. It's just so that a dupe and a wipe risk is not in the way. Things will just be moved around and made to look better, function better, and read better. Just be better. They plan to release the first of the 3 islands So it's looking like foraging is going to have 3 islands, which I believe we talked about in a previous video, but the first one is now complete, but they have to wait until they're ready to release latest version content. So basically the development for Foraging Island is completely done. It's ready. The only problem is Hypixel doesn't yet run on newer version, as in only newer version. So while they're waiting on that, they're still developing the hunting skill, which they talked about in a previous patch notes set as well. They've made some changes to the hunting system since their last update. So the last time we talked about the hunting system, it was going to be a lot like magical powers, where you swap between a bunch of different attributes and you get to choose which ones you want at set times. But they kind of realized that there's so many things you already swap between in Skyblock, between pet, armors, weapons, magical powers, even what perk you have on your beacon, that they didn't really want to add another one to that. So instead, you're going to get permanent buff from the attribute. Whatever you get from the attributes is permanently added to your character. Now, this sounds like it'd be a pretty big problem for power creep. That's just my personal take. So the buffs are going to have to be pretty small probably, but there should be a ton of them. So we're going to focus on gathering as many shards as possible through hunting or fusions to max out our attribute. Do note, this will be subject to change. So this could change in the future. I do think that what will likely happen is when they release it on the alpha, it's probably going to be a little bit too powerful and everything's going to be a little too easy. So they'll probably have to tone it down a little bit or do something else to fix the power creep. But that's just my guess. We have no idea. It's not on alpha yet. Hopefully soon though. But the hunting update has also allowed them to make the map more lively, adding creatures like frogs, axolotls, and a ton of underwater entities to Galatia, which is the name of the first island that is getting released when they're ready for it. They're also working diligently to complete the hunting update before releasing it in the latest version. They understand that some players are concerned about the transition to the new system and the potential impact on those who have invested significant time in rare god rolls. Their goal is to make this update a win for everyone, so they're going to put some extra effort into ensuring a fair and rewarding transition for everybody. In the meantime, they got some pictures for us. So first off, we got the red salmon, you know, actual fish inside of the water. Pretty cool. Frogs and Shellwise, which is level 10 and has 1000 health. But the most interesting thing about this to me is if we look in the background of this picture right here, you can see this is kelp and it looks like it's pretty tall. So the water must be pretty deep, which we've talked about in previous updates, how they were going to do like the Abyss update and combine it in with this update. So the water's got to be pretty deep for it to be called the Abyss, but actually seeing how deep it's going to be is pretty cool. But then they've got some pictures of their menus that they're talking about adding in. So here we've got the pets menu where you can see, I'm guessing they've got a zombie pet, maybe a flying fish and a wither skeleton. And this is the world map where you'll be able to choose where you want to warp to. So instead of doing /warp Kudra, you can just click to warp to where you want to be, which Badlion has a system like this already, but it'll be cool to have it in the actual base game. And then at the very end is the big drop. This is one of their custom models. Of course, this is not in the base version of Minecraft. They made this all by themselves and it looks really cool. They did their own personal animations for it and everything. It was all made by Hypixel. Mojang not involved at all, which is crazy. Of course, they've got their custom torch in the background here and some custom crates as well. But if I had to guess, this little demon guy, he could be part of one of the different things on one of the foraging islands. Very possible. But I wouldn't doubt that it could be part of the Crimson Isle as well. They said they're doing a Crimson Isle revamp at some point, so this would be pretty cool to see. Imagine this is what the Millennia Age blazes look like now or something. Maybe the flares. Or this could be the Inferno Demon Lord. Or it could just be a quest NPC. Who knows? But the fact is, this is just something that they've made all by themselves that they can do in the latest versions that they could not do before. So just imagine every single mob in dungeons that is a player character, like Crypt Dreadlords or Skeletron Primes. Just take those characters and give them actual models that aren't just skin. Like, the potential is insane. And even like Necron, we could make him a totally different looking boss. Same thing for the Wither King and all of the Slayers as well. Think of the sharks from Fishing Festival as being actual sharks instead of just player skin. There's some insane things that they can do with this. I'm super hyped about it. Again, The big bummer is how long it's going to take, and we don't know. They don't give an estimated date, which is probably a good thing. The last time they did that, we were told we would get something at the start of this year, and it's August now, and we still don't have it. So I don't doubt that we could see this as late as 2025 or possibly even later, but really hoping it comes out soon. The potential looks insane. It's definitely going to be worth the wait, no doubt about it. But I hope this gets you guys as hyped as I am. If you did enjoy, please drop a like. Please subscribe. We're on our way to 13,000 subs now. Really appreciate it, and I hope y'all have an amazing rest of your day. God bless.